Hi, and welcome to Mondays with Marlo. I'm very excited that we're going to approach the topic of bullying today, especially with teenagers that I know so many people are concerned about. I've been writing about bullying ever since we got our site, and hearing from a lot of you about it. It's so hard for me because I raise money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital to save children's lives. It's hard for me to accept the fact that children are killing themselves over the fact that other children are tormenting them. So today our guest is a woman who has taken this to be a passion of hers as well. She's the editor of 17 magazine. Her name is Shoket. And she's got a wonderful new edition this week with this adorable young man, Taylor Lautner. He's so cute, and he's on the cover. But the magazine I love is the one she did last month, which is called Delete Digital Drama. That was something that she's actually coined herself. So I thought it'd be terrific if we would start with that. What is Delete Digital Drama?
So it's our chance to talk about cyberbullying in the language of teenagers. Teenagers don't say cyberbullying. It sounds like kids pushing each other around on the playground. It sounds very retro with the cyber. But teenagers are obsessed with the drama in their lives, and it's everywhere they go. There's this one is having drama over here with this one, there's boy drama, there's friend drama, there's parent drama. But drama is really what's so distracting and so can become so destructive in their lives. And when it becomes digital, it's 24/7, non-stop, wherever they are. It's text messages on their phone, it's Facebook messages, it's Formspring groups, it's perpetual. And so we're simply asking teens to delete it. That when this drama is attacking you nonstop, you have some power to cut it out. Delete it. Don't forward the nasty text messages. Don't participate in the Facebook groups. Hit delete. And it takes this where you feel powerless. Teenagers feel powerless.
Right.
It gives them some power.
They can slam the door on it.
They can slam the door, exactly.
That's great. And you're right about drama. In fact, my husband's granddaughter, who I feel is my granddaughter too, she has the word drama in her email address.
No. It's everywhere.
Yes.
And you think about it, that if you can stop the small stuff, right? The little tiny petty things, that it never escalates into the kind of soul-crushing, evil, destructive bullying that we are here to talk about.
Right. So I'm going to get right to the questions, because these people, we've got so many questions for you.
Great.
Everybody really cares about this subject. So this is Ryan, who's right there in that camera. What's different about how girls are bullied from how boys are bullied, if anything?
Well, when girls bully each other, a lot of times it's about other guys. They're competing over a guy. The word slut is used a lot. That sort of demeaning and degrading. Girls will do anything to rip apart another girl if she feels competitive with her.
Wow,
and
really?
And that is something that I don't think you see with boys as much. There's not that sort of icing each other out socially, that one girl needs to feel like she's above or ahead of another girl. And that's really the way that girls bully each other, that it's about getting other people on your side and about icing someone out socially. And unfortunately, they have a lot of tools at their disposal. You know, the Facebook groups are all about who's in and who's out on the Facebook group. Formspring is this terrible way for girls to do it anonymously, to bully someone else anonymously. And the worst part is that they just sit there behind their computer and they hit send, send, send. And so it's completely anonymous, and it's constant bombarding.
And boys do what?
Well, I think that boys, we see it's much more physical, it's much more confrontational. It's not as much about sort of ripping apart the social fabric of their lives, that they're much more direct about their bullying in a way.
But what about the idea that, like, if you have an accent, or if you wear glasses, or if one of your eye travels, or if you're fat, is that boys and girls, or is that...
Well, I certainly think, I mean, teenagers are notorious for using whatever they can to pick on someone else. You know, we've also seen a lot of times that boys participate in the bullying of other girls, that they'll that they are also to blame when it comes to using words like slut or, you know, saying this one, I don't like her, she wouldn't go out with me, or she hurt my friend. And so the boys will also bully girls. It's a very strange gang mentality.
And girls don't do that with the boys.
I don't think girls are bullying boys as much. Yeah.
Have you heard, this is from Heather, have you heard from any girls who were bullies, and what do they say about that experience?
Yeah, we've talked to girls who were bullies, and they...
How old were they when they were bullies?
They were teenagers, and it was about them feeling like they needed to be on top, and the only way they could feel good about themselves was making someone else feel bad about themselves. We had one girl in the magazine who told the story that it wasn't until she had a friend who wanted to be her friend for her, who said to her, why are you being like this? That she actually looked at herself and she said, oh, I don't know why I'm doing this. And it was a real wake-up call for her that made her realize that it wasn't, that she didn't have to be nasty and mean and evil and manipulative and start rumors and gossip to have friends. And that wasn't where her power came from, and that really changed her mind.
Is this simplistic to say that girls or boys who bully get sort of pushed around at home?
Well, I don't know about being pushed around at home. I certainly think that home life can affect how everybody behaves in their relationships with other teenagers, with other kids their own age. I think that there's a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of ways to act out, and I think that that's really what we have to pay attention to, is what are the pressures, where is it coming from?
This is from Britt. What are the questions parents should be asking if they suspect that their child is a victim of bullying, or if they suspect their child is a bully?
Well, I think before you even suspect, that the most important thing for parents to do is to educate their teen about cyberbullying, about digital drama, and about the power that they have, that to give them some perspective on the fact of what's happening in their computer, what's happening on their text message, isn't necessarily real life. To let them know that they're not alone, to let them know that they don't have to feel isolated, to let them know that that this barrage of terrible comments isn't reality, that it's one nasty, manipulative person who's sort of attacking them in a way, and that's not the whole reality. I find it, just like you said, very disturbing that so many teens consider suicide, or even unfortunately commit suicide, because they feel so isolated and so alone. And I think that that's the most important thing for parents to help their teenager understand, is that they're not alone. That's part of what this campaign was about. We partnered with ABC Family, who does amazing programming for teenagers, and the stars of the ABC Family shows, the teen stars that everybody looks up to, shared their own bullying stories, and how they had been belittled and demeaned and attacked in school and made to feel different and outside, and how they got through that. And when you see that that's happening to someone who's a big star you look up to, that you don't feel so alone.
That's right.
And I think that's a really
And then it'll be over, that you'll get through it.
Right.
You know, that's the big thing. Is this ever going to be over, and will I survive this? This is from Stacy. What's been the most satisfying thing you've learned while working on this campaign? She's right there in the camera.
I am astounded by how much this campaign has resonated with our readers. I knew it was an important issue for us to talk about, and I knew it was important for us to tell the story in teens' voices, because so much of the conversation is, just like you said, it's grown-ups saying it'll get better, and if you're stuck in the middle of it, you don't believe it. You're like, this is never going to get better. But when you're talking to teens in their own voices, teens talking to other teens about what's happening, you suddenly feel less alone. And I've been amazed by how much this has really resonated with girls of all kinds, from all over the country, everywhere. We had a huge Twitter campaign, and so many teens put this little badge that says "Delete Digital Drama" on their Facebook page and on their Twitter campaign.
Great.
It's almost like saying, this is a drama-free zone. Don't come in here with your negativity.
Oh, that's great.
And so really, I've been so heartened by that. I think that's just
Does that have any effect on people who do pass around the nasty stuff? Do they, when they see that delete? Do they think, oh, well, this person isn't going to play games with me?
I think it's a reminder.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that says, you know, look, you could come here and tell me whatever you want to say. I'm deleting.
Right.
It's over. It's not going any further
Right.
than that.
That's great. That's great. This is from Catherine. What are some good resources to educate yourself about cyberbullying and how to prevent? This is a great question. What are some good resources to educate yourself about cyberbullying, which you call digital drama, and how to prevent it? Hi, Catherine. You tell Catherine.
So 17.com/delete is a great resource to have. We have all sorts of resources there. Our partner in this campaign was Stomp Out Bullying, which is stompoutbullying.org. They're amazing in educating parents, educating teenagers, educating educators about what they need to do to stop bullying. And in fact, there's one other amazing girl I have to tell you about who was in the magazine this month. And Nina Montgomery, and she launched a campaign called Don't Stand By, Stand Up. And
great.
It's amazing. It's such a strong message that says, if you watch it happen, you are participating in it. There's
no such thing as an innocent bystander.
And
that's my philosophy.
And so Nina's campaign is another great place to
That's
go.
great. This is from Vicki. Hi, Ann. What is the Delete Digital Drama campaign, and what's the best way for parents, kids, and schools to benefit from it? So we know what it is that it's a campaign to get kids to delete it when it starts so the drama is gone. But what's the best way for parents, kids, and schools to benefit from it?
Well, I think, you know, we had some great partners in this. ABC Family did a PSA in which they helped spread the word on their network this summer. Charlotte Roos made T-shirts so you could wear the message really proudly at school. Verizon came in and they sent around text messages that you would delete to show that your support. So I think all of those are really important people who have helped support our message. I think that
parents,
particularly as we go back to school, it's important to talk to your teens about what's happening at school, to make sure that you understand the social fabric of their lives, because it's so, and they're not going to make it easy for you.
No.
Teenagers do not make it easy for you to understand what's happening.
Right.
But it's so important for you to catch up and know what you know, whatever you can.
Well, do you just ask a blunt question like, is there any bullying at your school, or have you ever bullied them? How do you ask the question?
Well, I think you need to participate in what's happening in their lives. You know, and you know that they're up there and the computer is on, the text messages are out. You know that that's happening for hours at a time, probably when other things, when you think other things are meant to be happening, schoolwork, for example.
Do you suggest that parents look at the computers?
I think that once it's an older teen, they're not going to give you access. You just don't. You can't possibly monitor them all the time, and it is so pervasive in so many ways.
Right.
I think that what's important is educating your teen so that when they are on their own, they can make these decisions for themselves.
Right.
I think that that's really key, and to give them trust. Teenagers say all the time that they want their parents' trust. They want to know that they're supported, but they also want to know that they're trusted.
Right. We have to earn trust.
Well,
I know that. This is from Andrew. My daughter is 13 and entering 8th grade this fall. What advice can I give her if she finds herself or a friend on the receiving end of cyberbullying?
Well, if it's a friend, it's very important to be there for your friend. What's also important is not to lash out. Do not respond to the bullying. If someone says, you're a dirty skank, don't say, I'm not a dirty skank, and don't defend your friend. It's not going to help. You're just adding fuel to the fire. Really the key, I mean, it sounds so silly. It sounds like you're not going to do this, but the key is to shut the computer and walk away, and to find something else that validates you in that. And I really think that that's the best you can do.
Don't engage.
Don't engage. You're just the minute that you step into the arena, it's going to be a fight.
Right.
It's going to be back and forth, and you've added fuel to the fire.
Right. Starve it. This is from Tori. Can you offer some advice or some tips for parents on how to carefully monitor their children's internet usage? It's not that easy to do when your child is a preteen or a teenager.
Yeah, I agree. It is practically impossible, because if they're not, even if you're monitoring what's happening at your house, they're at a friend's house, they're at school, it's happening on their phone. It's impossible for you to really track all of what's happening. I think that there are certainly opportunities to set up guidelines for limiting the amount of internet usage or time on the cell phone, and to make sure that there's time away from the computer is
Right.
super important.
So are there tips then? You're saying it's impossible, which is scary.
Well, I think you need to educate. I think the most important thing is to give the power to your teenager and to educate them about what's happening, and to let them know that it's not real, that they're not isolated, that it doesn't have to feel like a constant attack. To give them some perspective
Right.
on what's happening.
Okay. This is from Storm. I have 2 boys, and they both say bullying is increasing, but that their school administration seems out of touch. What can I do to motivate the school to be more involved and be more aware?
That's a great question.
It is.
We are participating, 17 Magazine and ABC Family are participating in a summit, a government summit on cyberbullying, September 21st. And this summit is for educators and legislators who really want to understand what this is. What can they do about it? How can they bring programs like Delete Digital Drama into their school? What can they do to stop the zero tolerance policies for bullying have seemed to be really effective. So it's really a fantastic first step. I think that schools have been surprised in a lot of ways by how fast and how escalated the bullying has become, because digital is so speedy that you can't catch up to it, and it happens privately. You can certainly see if kids are pushing each other around or there's actual physical fights in the hallway, but it's harder to see what's happening on the cell phone and what's happening on the computer. So I'm thrilled that the White House is setting up this summit. I'm thrilled to be a part of it. The ABC Family stars are going to be there talking about their own personal stories.
That's great.
It's such a special thing.
That's
September
great.
21st.
Great. Mary Ann, my daughter confessed to me that she has been bullied on the internet. I spoke to her teacher, and although her teacher said she would talk to the girl that is bullying her, nothing seemed to happen. My daughter is still complaining that it didn't stop. What else can I do?
I mean, this
is it. This is the big question.
This is a really hard.
I mean, she got her teenager to talk. The mother went to the school, and nothing stopped. What do you think that the school should do in a case like that?
Well, I think that maybe at this point a lot of it has to do with parents to parents. That there's a conversation there. Maybe the parents of the girl who's bullying don't know what's happening.
Right.
And I think that, but I think again and again, I just have to say, like, you have to tell your teenager, you have to give her perspective, you have to make her feel good beyond what's happening in this scenario. Certainly if she's physically in danger, that's a whole nother situation.
That is real.
And that's when you need to get the police involved.
Right.
But I think the fact that Mary is so involved with her daughter's life and taking such a forward-thinking step, that really does show your daughter that she is loved, and that those things the girl is saying are not true.
But the school has some responsibility here. They can't be innocent bystanders.
Well, I think the schools are playing catch up, and I think they're trying to figure out what to do. And certainly it's hard when things are happening. It's not school computers, right? It's happening at home. It's happening on school properties. I think it's hard for schools to figure out how to react.
Right. This is from somebody called Hello World. And I went to pick up my daughter from school one day, and I noticed that her and her friends were making fun of this other girl. I don't want my daughter to grow into a bully. What can I tell her to get her to stop this behavior?
I think the thing that is so important and really hard when I see teenagers talking about this is the idea of empathy. That they think that because they're that it's just a text message, that it's just a Facebook message, that they can't understand how hurtful that can be. It's not a punch, it's not a pinch, it's not pulling hair. And so I think that is a great lesson for you to learn at any age, that your actions are really impactful on other people. And I think that's something, that is the root of the problem that we see with teenage girls.
And how would you feel if somebody did this to you?
Right.
Would you cry? Would you hide? I mean, what would you do if somebody did this to you? That's what I think empathy is when you can really understand that it's about you too.
Right.
This is from Sally. My son was a cyberbully. We've cut off his computer access, disabled his social networking accounts. What are the next steps? Also, do we go to the parents of these girls he was harassing and let them know what happened? That's interesting.
So it is interesting. We talked about this before, how boys are also lashing out at girls,
right.
And using the digital, all the digital avenues that they have. A lot of it has probably to do with the fact that they're not comfortable having the conversations in person, or there's a lack of social interaction. I think that it's great that these parents understood the problem and cut off his access and gave him some punishment as well. So I think that what needs to happen next is there doesn't need to be more with the girls. Those girls are moved on. They're solving their own problems.
Right.
But I think you need to be vigilant about what
he does.
What he does.
Right. This is from Terry. What are some signs that your kids are being cyberbullied? What are some signs that your kid is a bully or is hanging out in bad circles?
Well,
is there a sign that your kid is a bully?
I think more importantly, the sign that your teenager is being cyberbullied. I think that you should be aware that they may feel isolated or withdrawn, or they may be obsessed with what's happening on their Facebook page in a way. And now I know teenagers are obsessed with what's happening on their Facebook page anyway, but you'll be able to tell the difference between regular obsession about she didn't email me back, or she didn't message me back, or I posted this cute picture and not enough people liked it, and the sort of obsession that has to do with the bullying and has to do with being attacked. I think that I think it's harder to know if your child is a bully, especially with girls, because girls are so much about, the bullying is so much about being on top and being number one, and you want your daughter to feel like she's popular and pretty and in the mix and all of those things. And so I think it really is just having a great awareness of the social structure of your teenager's life.
I think that's it too. This is from Tish. Do kids who have been bullied become bullies themselves?
Sometimes. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the answer, sometimes. I think that the whole point of Delete Digital Drama is to stop that, is to say that you don't participate, that you don't wade into the fight, that you don't forward the messages, and then that way you're not, if you stay to that, then it doesn't affect you, and you're not adding to it.
But if you have been bullied, do some people, some victims of bullying must feel, well, the way to survive this is to beat up on somebody else?
And I think that's, I mean, it's amazing that these parents are asking questions, because I think that the key is making your child feel loved and part of and not isolated, and feel, part of a unit. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think that it's such a great question, because that's what makes people feel like bullies, when they feel isolated and they feel like they need to figure out anything they can do to get on top.
Yeah, to get out. This is from Carl. This is an interesting question. Is there a certain age when bullying starts and when it stops?
I don't know about starts, but stops, when you're out of this pressure cooker of high school. I mean, you think about it, high school is drama. It is. It's about being in this cauldron of social pressures and demands and people that you don't know, and you can't pick who's. Yeah. And I think that I really do think we don't hear about this at college in the same way.
Right.
Certainly there are other ways for college students to use technology in ways that would horrify parents. But that's not what we're talking about today. But I think that I do think that high school is really the end of high school is when bullying sort of stops. So you can pick your friends, you feel free, the world opens up for you.
Right. And there isn't as much newness. There's something so new about being a teenager. You really go from being a baby to a teenager.
You're learning everything.
Yeah.
And that's part of what's happening here, is that as a teenager, you are learning about how people interact with each other, and you're learning about what happens in the world. You don't know that this thing that's happening on your computer isn't real and doesn't really have any impact. You think that that's real. And
you also think it's your whole life.
You think it's your whole life. Yeah. And I think that's what's so stunning about the ABC Family stars who just spoke out, that you can see that they went on from these terrible, terrible bullying situations to become stars.
Yes.
To go out
To
in
have
the
the
world
confidence,
and have
too.
the confidence
Yeah.
and to become major stars.
This is from Mindy. We might have answered this, but why is cyberbullying such a threat? I guess one of the reasons is that they're anonymous, right?
Yes.
So you can't stop it. There's no way to stop it.
And it's 24/7,
Right.
and it reaches you everywhere you are.
Mm-hmm. This is from I Wonder. Hi, Anne. My daughter usually spends a lot of time on the computer chatting away with her friends, but lately she stopped spending time on the computer. When I asked her about it, she's very dismissive. Is she being cyberbullied? Is it appropriate to go through her computer to find out what's going on?
I mean, I love that because I can imagine the daughter being dismissive. Mom, I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
Whatever, it's not important.
Right.
Whatever, leave me alone. Like the whole thing.
Right.
I can just imagine the whole conversations that
yes.
they're having. And I think that I definitely think it's important to keep pushing, right? But you don't want to make her feel, you don't want to alienate her in a way to make her feel like she's done something wrong. And it's important, that's really key, to notice the changes in patterns of behavior with your daughter. So I think that I think you have to trust. I mean, I keep saying this again and again. Teenagers want your trust. You have to trust, but you have to let her know that it's okay to talk about it. That it's important to talk about it if something's going on.
And there's a certain amount of shame that kids feel that they're the one being picked on, and that they're not really qualified to handle it themselves. Just when they're trying to be independent, there's this thing happening, so you don't really want to go to mommy and daddy and say, I can't handle this. That's another thing that's happening.
Well, there's a lot of great resources for teenagers, and so maybe you give your teen access to other resources, stompoutbullying.org, or the Teen Angels. There's great peer-to-peer counseling with the Teen Angels who are teenagers giving you advice about how to deal with cyberbullying, so it doesn't feel like it's coming from some adult who
doesn't know what they're
judgmental
talking
or doesn't
about.
understand you or out of touch. The Teen Angels are amazing.
Well, that's great. So teens can go to two different places. So one is called
stompoutbullying.org.
Right.
The other one is Teen Angels, so Google Teen Angels.
Okay, great. That's
Google
good.
Teen Angels.
This is from Lanny. I'm on the board of my daughter's PTA. What steps can I take to prevent bullying in our school?
I mean, it's hard. I think the summit on the 21st will definitely help set some guidelines, and I think that that'll be really important. So you should watch to see what comes out of that. This is from Slope 43.
How can I be sure my kid is telling the truth about bullying in her school?
I mean, you can't. I mean, that's the fact of the matter. But it is pervasive. This is happening everywhere at a level that is stunning.
Right. But I think what you said before was don't quit. Just keep trying to get the information.
So important.
It's really, because they don't want to tell. They don't want to tell. And you know, it's very much like abused wives. They don't want to tell either. People don't want to tell when they're being treated badly.
Embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
It's shameful.
Yeah.
And
well, it shouldn't be, but they feel shamed about it. This is from Smirk. Hi, Smirk. Hi, Anne. I'm a teacher, and I deal with a lot of bullying and end up giving a lot of talks to kids who bully others. I don't have much control over cyberbullying since it doesn't happen in the classroom. Right. What can I do to prevent cyberbullying?
I think that's great that this is a teacher who wants to, and sixth grade I think is probably like just the beginning of when their social lives start to, you know, it's the bridge from being a child to being a teenager.
Right.
And I think that at this age probably educating about the drama and about understanding the drama is super important.
And I think maybe, I mean, the fact that she's giving a lot of talks to kids who bully others, also to just talk to the whole class about this thing called cyberbullying. You know, that it's destructive and it can turn on you just as fast as you're instigating it against somebody else. This is from Front. At what point is cyberbullying beyond the school's reach, and where does individual responsibility begin? By individual, I guess this Front means the parents, right?
Well, I think even the kids, right? If it's individual responsibility, I think that it always has to do with the individuals. The schools can react, and the schools play an important role, but certainly not as important as teenagers and the way that we can help them help themselves. Really, because if we can help teenagers understand what's happening, give them the tools, delete, then you don't have the drama for the school to deal with.
Right. Yeah. And if it's happening at school, making fun of a child for all the different reasons they do, What should a child do that's standing there?
I do think administrators can be on your side and should be on your side and will be on your side, and it's important to involve them. The worst thing to do would be to suffer in silence.
Yes.
and to take it all in internally.
But they're afraid to tell because then there'll be a tattler, then it'll get worse.
I think teens know they need help, and that their guidance counselors and their school therapists are there to help them, and it's important.
Good. This is from Joanne Wilderson. I must be out of the loop, but if someone is bullying you on the internet, why can't you shut it off, change your password, block them, or just delete it? If it's on a place like Facebook, why not report it to Facebook?
So that's another problem, is the reporting it. But you're absolutely right. Delete it. Shut it down. Ignore it.
Right.
And I think that that really is the key. Now, that doesn't make it stop. It's still happening, right? That those messages in those groups can still happen if you're not paying attention to them. But it hurts less if you're not paying attention to them.
Right, exactly. And should they report it to Facebook?
Well, I think it's certainly the right thing, the next right step, yes.
Yeah, and I mean, do we have any reports that if you report it to Facebook, something happens, or what?
Sometimes they can shut it down, sometimes they can't.
Why would they be able to shut it down?
I think Facebook has all sorts of rules and regulations, but I think that I really do think I can't emphasize it enough how important it is for everybody to feel like they have some power, and that really is that you shut it down and walk away.
Right.
And delete.
Right. This is from Heidi Schneider. New technology with Facebook and texting isolates the individual from hearing a human voice, and therefore one really does not get to know the person at the other end as a human being. Many kids today don't like to talk on the phone, so human interaction is not there. Does that have something to do with this?
Well, I think we talked about this a little bit, about the empathy and about not being able to connect with people. But the technology makes it easy, right? You don't have to call someone. I mean, that's what happened when I was in high school. There were all these three-way social calling sabotage. It was awful. But it wasn't as awful as being barrage, and because social is so public.
Right.
I mean, and this is in no way you will not win if you want to fight your child's social life online, because it's important. Facebook and Twitter and all of that is really important to them, but it is important for it to feel like it's positive, like it's you connecting with your friends and not people attacking you.
Right. This is from Karen. Hi, Ann. With all that is on the news about bullying, I'm really worried about my daughter. She might be bullied and I won't even know it. What can I do to make sure she isn't getting bullied? Should I talk to her about it, or will it scare her from talking to me? See, this is a big problem for parents.
Well, I really do love that the parents are also forward-thinking, right? That it's not happening yet,
right,
but that they're worried about it. And I think that that's the most important thing, is to let your daughter know that she is loved and that you're concerned about her,
right,
and that these are things that you are comfortable talking about in
right,
your life with her. I think that that's amazing and fantastic.
Right.
I wish all of our girls to have mothers
that's
that
right,
engaged
if
and
every
involved
mother was
and
exactly.
sensitive.
Hi, Ann. This is from Frost Door. Some of the parents of my son's friends have been complaining that he has been bullying them online. What should I do? How can I talk to my son to make sure he stops being a bully to others? We've tried cutting down his time on the computer. I've tried talking to him, but it seems like he still managed to bully others. What do I do?
Yeah, that's a terrible situation to be in.
Maybe he needs counseling.
And I think that there's great resources. I think I can't say it again, the Teen Angels are great peer-to-peer counselors. It's also a great resource for parents, and stompoutbullying.org are good resources for parents.
This is from Steve. Hi, Ann. My son is picked on at school a lot for his height. He's not as tall as the other kids, nothing really major, but my wife and I want to make sure that it doesn't spiral into something else or affect his self-esteem. Even though it's not a full-on bullying, even the littlest negative comment can affect a kid in his formative years. But we certainly can't control what kids say all day at school. That's just impossible. Any advice?
I think, it is different for boys and girls, but I think one of the things that we talk to girls about in the magazine is that boys have feelings too, right? And that just like girls feel awful when someone comments on their body, on the shape, on their height, on their weight, on their breasts, on their butts, whatever, that boys feel sensitive about that too, and we really do try to make girls understand that. I mean, again, I think it's a great parent who's like forward thinking enough that it's
Right.
not really happening, but they're thinking ahead.
We're running out of time, and there's so many questions. But Stacy wants to know, why does cyberbullying affect kids so deeply?
And I think that this is, it is worse than ever, and it's worse than you can imagine. We hear letters from girls who when you read what's happening, you think, well, that sounds so silly. It's just a text message. Grown-ups think that. But when you understand that this is about their social life being ripped apart, that these attacks feel personal and deep, then that's where you really need to focus your efforts. That to understand how internalized these girls take these comments, that it feels like someone really, it's not just an insult. Someone is telling you that you are a dirty skank. And it's fact. They take it as fact. They believe it. And that's why it affects them so terribly, that they lose perspective because it's coming at them from so many angles all the time. The most important thing is to make sure that your teens know that they have the power to delete the drama, and to delete the drama when it's just small drama before it becomes major drama.
And this is, I guess, just a couple more questions. This is from Susan. How does one get to be a bully in the first place? Do they turn into one at some point? Or is it a domineering trait that is inborn gone bad? I have found ignoring and overlooking does not change the bully. We can walk away from one if they are not directly a part of our life. But what if one is a part of our life? A bully trait doesn't care if it hurts someone. In fact, that is what it wants to do. If overlooked and ignored, it goes elsewhere to do more damage. There was a bully so disruptive in a Catholic school when nuns ran the school with rulers in their hands and were feared. This child failed the year. Even the unreasonably strict nuns passed him to get him out of their hair, to get him out of the school. That kid grew up to be an abuser. And that's what I think is sad, because you know that this isn't going to stop. A bully's a bully. And unless somebody stops the bully, you know, they'll become an adult. A woman who has a good job and beats up everybody that works for her. You know, a man in the same way. A man who goes home and beats up his wife or hits his dog and all of that. I mean, so this is something that, you know, it's like watching, you know, if a kid holds up a gas station at 16, you know you got somebody who's, you know, outside of the structure of what we believe to be good behavior. So that's what I think is scary about this too.
And but what's even scarier is that the tools are not fists and guns and knives.
Right.
That it's your cell phone and
Right.
it's your Facebook page.
Right. So
The weapon.
do you have I guess the point is, if we don't stop the young bully, we're going to end up with a grown-up bully.
I think it's so important to stop it before it escalates.
Okay, and let me just see if there's anything else that this is an important question. Let's just, because we always talk about the fact that you have to have the support of the bystander in the community. So if a kid is being bullied, other kids can't just stand there. They have to say, hey, stop it, let's not do this, this isn't fun, or this isn't a good thing to do, or I like him, or whatever. But how do you do that in the cyber world?
Well, if no one is participating with you, if you say, hey, everybody, come join this Jen is an evil person group, and nobody joins, then the person who set up the group to bully Jen has lost her power.
Right.
And I think that that's what we're asking people to do, is to not participate and to not join, and it drains all the power from the bully.
Right, right.
And that's what, it's not, I mean, we say this again and again, that wading into the fight, defending your friend, saying she's not what you say she is, and then it's just going to come back at you, that it's not going to make things better.
Right.
But that if everybody refuses to participate, it drains all the power.
Right. So it's not just the kid who's being bullied that needs to close their computer. It's all the kids that are getting the bully lesson.
Right.
This has been fabulous.
Thank
I
you.
certainly hope every parent who's written in today, or aunt or uncle or even teacher, has learned something from Anne, and she's very passionate about this, and she's doing something about it, which is great. We need more people thinking about it, and the fact that she's got the power of this magazine, 17 magazine, that means that a lot of young women are getting, or young girls are getting, some feeling of, well, somebody cares about me and somebody cares about this. So I think that's pretty much the message that Anne gave us today, and I think we should all take that home to our kids.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next Monday.